Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your favorite Venti and Child Main Joker back at it again once again. And today we'll be looking at Albedo, which is probably one of the most free-to-play friendly 5 stars that I have seen as of yet. And I'll get into details why. I've been messing around with them. My Albedo is currently level 70, and we shall start off with his constellations and talents. So to start off with constellations, the nice thing about his constellations is, simply put, you don't need really any of them. Constellation 0 Albedo is fine, and those constellations, they don't really do, like, ridiculous things. You can live without the constellations. Venti is another really good free-to-play, friendly 5-star, but of course, its banner's basically gone till who knows when. And some of his constellations still did more stuff, but let's look at Albedo's constellations, and I can kind of go into why they're not really fully needed. Constellation 1, you generate a little bit more energy. Not super duper hard, especially if you're running him to generate energy, if you're running him as the way he should basically be ran, which is kind of like official, like a DPS support where you just throw out your stuff and you usually would swap off. If you're running him like that, you usually have some form of energy recharge, and you don't really need to have his Constellation 1 for more energy. His second constellation, opening the Phanerosic. Now, this is really nice, but again, it's not required. It just ups his damage a little bit, giving Fatal Reckoning stacks to increase damage based on Albedo's defense. This is probably one of the only two that you truly would want to improve the character, but it is not needed. This is the other one that you'd probably want, which is Constellation 3, if you were to try to get multiple copies of him, simply for the fact of his Solar Isotoma, Abiogenesis. That is his elemental skill, and that will be on the board constantly if you play him correctly in, 3 extra levels. Great. And like the others, Constellation 4, it's a meme. it's a meme. Increasing plunging attack damage. It's a meme. You usually don't plunge attack anyway, even though you can do it with the Solar Isotoma. No, you're memeing if you're doing that anyway, and this is just for the meme. This upgrades his Tectonic Tide, which you don't need to fully upgrade, his Elemental Burst, because you usually would be building him anyway to use his elemental skill more. And with his talent, the talent would be just upping the utility of his burst to make it actually more useful. You just throw out the burst, then it does stuff. Dust of Petrification, pretty nice, but again, not really needed. So overall, most of the constellations you don't really need on him, and the ones that, it would be nice to have again, don't really need them. And of course, Descent of Divinity is a total meme. Onto his talents, there's a normal attack, Abiogenesis, Solar Isotoma. That is his elemental skill. What you'll mainly want to be focusing on is it. Leveling up wise, level up order, probably Solar Isotoma, Tectonic Tide, the normal attack. And what this does is he creates a Solar Isotoma using Alchemy, which deals constant geo damage every couple seconds. And it has the properties of when the enemies take damage, it will generate a Transient Blossom, which will deal AoE geo damage, which is based off of Albedo's defense. Every 2 seconds, it can only be generated. When a character is located at the lotus of the Solar Isotoma, of course, it will be an elevator. It will accumulate geopower from a crystallized platform, send them up, and that's where the whole plunge attack can happen. But you can also do some nice stuff with Klee with it, so if you happen to have Klee, you can basically snipe people with Klee. Or with Zhao. I guess it could maybe work with Zhao for plunging, which I guess then you might want to use the Constellation 4 if you happen to have that with it, but Again, the Constellations aren't needed. Constellation 0 Albedo's fine. I have Constellation 0 Albedo, as you saw. It's perfectly fine. And of course, just like with Genshin, it has like a hold to designate thing, where you designate where you want to go, but usually you'll just plop it down. His elemental burst is just geocrystals go forth. Boom. Just a big little burst of geocrystals deals a bunch of AoE damage. And if a Solar Isotoma created by Albedo is on the field, 7 Fatal Blossoms will be generated in the field, which will deal more. So it'll deal more if Solar Isotoma is on the field. And it will not generate Transient Blossoms. His first talent for Ascension is just simply, A, these deal more damage to enemies who have 50% or lower health. Really nice, good damage buff. But this is why he is really, really good as a DPS support. One of the reasons, which is the simple fact of this is basically what you'll be using elemental skill for. And that's just to grant elemental mastery to nearby party members for 10 seconds, and it's 125 elemental mastery, which is insane. And then, of course, Flash Genius, when Albedo crafts weapon essential materials, he has a 10% chance to receive double the product. So that's good, too. What is Elemental Mastery? Well, let me tell you. Elemental Mastery is basically the higher it is, the stronger the elemental energy can be released, basically increasing the damage of Vaporize, Overload, Superconduct, Electrocharge, Shattered, Swirl, Crystallize, Shield Absorptions, all of the element stuff. It ups the damage and the shield power, absorption power for Crystallize. So, my child's elemental mastery is 83. You know, I could just like swap off after I use this, boom, elemental skill, elemental burst, go to child, and the 83 mastery would get a plus 125 mastery to it for 10 seconds. So that would be, what, 208 elemental mastery? So that could be pretty insane, in all honesty. So yes, so homunculus nature, along with the elemental skill, Solar Isotoma, are some of the main reasons why he's such a good DPS support. Again, just throw out Solar Isotoma, hit enemy once, and then just swap off, and that will constantly do damage. And then there's a fun thing that you can do where you can like hit an enemy to proc it around the end, and immediately after place it back down again, since its cooldown is very, very short, hit the enemy again, and it's just like a quick little burst with Albedo of damage. Now let's get into the weapons of choice for Albedo. There are 2 weapons, in my opinion, that are best for him. The 5 stars are surprisingly not the best weapons for Albedo. Not at all. Now, Black Sword is really decent because you do want to build crit for your Solar Isotoma, because it can crit. But the 2 best weapons, in my opinion, are both free to play. There's an event going on right now where you can get the Festering Desire Sword, and basically you can play the event and get the Dragon Marrow, which basically acts as another copy of the sword, so you can refine it all the way up to rank 4. This increases the elemental skill damage by 24% automatically. So that is really good. I mean, this is refinement rank 3, but the point is it increases the elemental skill damage and its crit rate, which again, you want to see those pretty nice numbers, you're going to want to build some crit at Albedo. So, Festering Desire, amazing. Now, if you're just going to throw Albedo out, not really keep him on the board for a little bit, I like to keep him on the board occasionally, plus I don't want to deal with the risk of going with the other option, so that's usually why he's Festering Desire. But the other option grants more crit, because this is built for energy recharge. The thing that's built for crit as well, like the substat is crit, and that can overall pump out more DPS out of his elemental skill, is surprisingly a 3-star sword. Behold the Harbinger of Dawn. Very easy to max refine to 5, and its perk is Vigorous. When HP is above 90%, crit rates increased. This crit rate will be increased way more than if you were using Festering Desire, but you'll not have as much crit damage bonus because the sword's substat is crit damage, but it's not as high. I mean, I guess it could get somewhat up to Festering Desire and maybe do a little bit more, but, you know, there's the downside of it's a rank 3 sword, so you're not, like, it's a blue sword, so you're going to miss out on a good chunk of damage compared to if you were using a 4-star sword. The 3-star sword, way less damage. So these are the 2 best swords as of now that I know of for Albedo. 3-star Harbinger's Dawn sword and the Festering Desire. Of course, Harbinger of Dawn, you get a crap ton of 3 stars just by wishing with the Primogems to get in the game. So it should not be that hard to get a crap ton of Harbingers of Dawn, plus you could probably get them from the chests. So you should easily be able to max refine it. This sword is not really that good at all, unless if it's max refined, and then of course, you know, Festering Desire currently is the event sword that you can get, so... But you have at least 10 days to do the event to get all the stuff for it. Harbinger of Dawn is, again, probably the better option, but it's more risky because the moment your health goes below 90%, that crit rate, you don't get that. You don't get that the moment Albedo's health drops below 90%. Or at 90%. So, with comps using Harbinger of Dawn, run a healer. Especially a healer that can go and actually properly heal up your character. Your Albedo, if he happens to get a little bit low and take a beating. Artifacts. People usually run 3 different artifact sets for Albedo. I've seen 3 different artifact builds. One of them is a 4-piece Archaic Petra, one of them is a 4-piece Noblesse Oblige, and then the other one is a 2-piece Archaic Petra and a 2-piece Noblesse Oblige. Now, the issue with the 4-piece Archaic Petra is to get the 4-piece Archaic Petra bonus, Albedo would have to be the one on the field to pick up the crystal to generate the shield. He would be the one that would have to generate the shield, pick up the shield. Which is risky if you're using the Harbinger of Dawn sword, because, you know, you get to 90% health and boom, you don't have your crit damage bonus. No, crit rate bonus. So that's a little bit risky there, because Archaic Petra, 4-piece, only way it works is if the character with the set picks up the shield. So the best 2 options, especially if you're running Harbinger of Dawn, is either a 4-piece Noblesse Oblige, or in my opinion, the better version of the 2-piece Archaic Petra, 2-piece Noblesse Oblige. Now, his Tectonic, his Elemental Burst scales off of attack, and his Solar Acetoma Elemental Skill scales based off of defense. So I do recommend building some defense percentage. What I have here is a circuit with defense, which is not the best right now for me, because what you'd usually want to run on a circuit is a crit damage or crit rate circuit, because, well, you're going to want to be able to crit and do a lot of damage with the Solar Acetoma. Of course, go with crit rate if you have a lot of crit damage substats. If you have a lot of crit rate substats, go crit damage on the circuit. So I'm still farming out the Noblesse Oblige to try to get a better circuit, but something like this is what you probably want to see. So that's that there. The Goblet, I have crit rate and crit damage, which is really, really nice. You want that. Attack percentage is decent, but geo damage bonus is definitely way more preferred. The order of the way that you should set your artifacts are the overall main stat is more important than the substats, which is more important than the set, but I have a good set of the set, and I have pretty good main stats and substats, so yeah. The Sands of Ion, definitely defense percentage or energy recharge percentage. Those are the two main stats you want to look for, if possible. Of course, the feather is going to be attack, so it's going to be attack anyway. This feather I have is a good example of something you want to kind of look for. In fact, this is actually pretty freaking good. I have defense percentage on there, I have crit rate, I have crit damage, and I have attack percentage. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful feather. Something like this is what you're probably going to want to look for Albedo. But again, you know, it's fine. I would have probably maybe preferred if the defense percentage or the attack percentage was like energy recharge. Flower, of course, is always HP, so just look for the substats. Again, defense percentage, energy recharge, and of course, definitely crit rate and crit damage. Those are definitely the things you want to see. So, those are the artifacts right there. Now, there's a specific playstyle for him, in my opinion. And again, that's the DPS support role. So I'm going to take him into the newer dungeon.
Going out into the world and investigating.
And just sort of
turning the unknown
mess around and
show
show you kind of how Albedo plays and kind of the damage that he can do. So catch you when we're at the dungeon. We are at the dungeon, but right before I enter, I shall go over some team comps for him. Very, very versatile character. Very, very versatile. And some really nice team comps is a Geo Shatter Alchemy style build, which if you look up Geo Shatter Alchemy build, like team comp, Genshin Impact, somebody actually did a video on it, and I saw that and I'm like, oh my god, I love it. So credit to them. And that's a Albedo and a Chongyun. Chongyun as your main DPS, and then either a Fischl or a Sucrose, and a Xingqiu or a Barbara. Preferably Xingqiu, but, you know, if you don't have Xingqiu, you know, what's on the banner if you don't have him, Barbara.
Wish me luck.
So let me try to mimic this. There we go. Sucrose.
I can do it.
And where is Chongyun?
Demon expelling mantra is ready.
So the whole fact is basically using Albedo like a DPS support, using Sucrose for the elemental mastery and damage, or using Fischl for super conduct. And then Barbara and Chongyun to freeze and Chongyun to shatter, or using Albedo to shatter. Really effective team comp. Another team comp would be whatever your main DPS is, Albedo, and then a healer and Sucrose or Venti. Self-explanatory for Sucrose and Venti. Really good crowd control abilities. You can swirl easily, everything is amazing there. Awesome. Another build would be right here, if you happen to have him, Child.
Need to end a few enemies?
Mixed with Fischl,
Behold,
Albedo,
the Prinzessin der Welttalon.
and some form of healer, so like Jean, Barbara, Chi-Chi, and of Diona, and of course Bennett, because Bennett is freaking amazing.
You want me on your team?
Really, really solid team. You have Albedo to constantly get the Geo and the shield up, Bennett to apply heal and an attack buff, Fischl as another DPS support, constantly dealing electro damage. Not only can it generate shields there, but then you have Tartaglia, main DPS, initiate electro charged, and Albedo's elemental skill won't all the time get in the way because it can only occur every 2 seconds. So, you know, you'll have those seconds where you're proccing electro charge anyway. So very, very good. And then, of course, there's the one that you saw earlier that I was using, which is, since I got lucky, I got Zhongli, but, you know, Ningguang or Noelle could work any other Geo character. So, you know, main DPS, in my case, Child. A Geo character, you know, Geo Traveler, Ningguang, Noelle, preferably Zhongli if you happen to get him, because especially considering he's getting that buff in the near future, around 1.3. Albedo and Bennett. Bennett will be your healer, of course, attack buffer. Geo character of some sort for resonance with constructs, preferably Zhongli, since Zhongli can resonate with constructs, can resonate with Albedo very well, but other Geo characters would be really nice, especially for the Enduring Rock, which increases resistance to interruption when protected by a shield, increases attack damage by 15%. You're going to want that, you know, that ups your damage, but especially with the buff that it's getting, it's going to be insane. Geo characters are going to be really, really great. Awesome. And then, of course, the main DPS that you would have to mainly DPS, so like, again, Diluc, Razor, Child, I guess Xinyan, something like that. Very, very good build. I love this team comp. Of course, you can maybe swap out Zhongli or Bennett for like a Sucrose or a Venti if you want that swirl and maybe that crowd control that Venti can do. But especially with these two, specifically, you can get a lot of energy recharge off and like constantly use your abilities. There are, as I mentioned, multiple other builds that you can probably work around, like team comp builds that you can work around for Albedo, because he's very, very flexible and very, very free-to-play friendly. So let's take him into this right here. This is level 80, by the way. My only two level 80 characters are Tatalia and Bennett, you know, Child of Bennett. My Zhongli's 75, and my Albedo is level 70. Here we are, inside the thing. Characters are a little bit low, but that should not matter. Let's just see some Albedo gameplay, shall we? Alright. Plop this down. Get some geo damage up. Swap. Place down this. Oh, this is back up? Don't mind if I do. Oh, this is up? Bop. Oh, this is up. Zhongli ult. Swap to main DPS. Tartaglia for me. Look at that constant geo procking with the resonance. Always, always nice. Oh, this is back up. Get elemental mastery. Put down the pillar. Tartaglia. Boom, Zhongli, ult back up. Get that back up. Tartaglia. Swap.
Feel this ancient power.
Tartaglia.
Shouldn't let your guard down.
Oh, this is back up? Don't mind if I do.
Come to be witness a great undertaking.
Bennett.
Order guide.
Order. Place this down. Get some healing. Nope.
Great undertaking.
Look at all that damage. Increase my damage due to the Enduring Rock.
Everybody stand back!
Strongly. Child.
But you can't hide. Feel this ancient power. Coming to be.
Albedo. There we go. Nice little DPS support Albedo gameplay. Overall, characters very, very free to play friendly. The Constellations don't really add game-breaking things to him. He is basically almost exactly the same as a Constellation 0. There's just tiny little things. Again, not game-breaking at all. And the banner for him is busted because you can get 4 stars that are really good supports and DPS supports like Sucrose, Bennett, Fischl. Like, you're probably going to want to roll on this banner anyway. So if you happen to randomly get Albedo and get lucky, he's a pretty good overall DPS support character. definitely worth your time and investment to check out if you happen to do get him. Very nice 5-star. If you have Zhongli, works very, very well with Zhongli. And with the new Geo buff, he's going to be insane just like every other Geo character. So those are my thoughts on him. I do enjoy him. Catch you guys on the next one. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed and want to see more. Hit the notification bell to stay notified of future videos and streams. And catch you guys on the next one.